All right, 11:02, here we are, the second week of the second half of our semester. Now, I want to apologize for the kind of rocky and bumpy start to this second half last week. It was brought to my attention that not everybody, not literally every individual in the two sections, had a copy of this textbook right here. Okay, and by the way, just in the interest of transparency and honesty, I had nothing to do with that. Okay, that is purely a behind the scenes sort of administrative boo boo, let's say. Okay, we didn't have enough books for whatever reason, and if you need access to the e-text, that is accessed by the I think it's our high school coordinator and the textbook rep. They are in the process of getting all of that for you. The dual enrollment office, I'm reading right now from a message from my GNTC dean, okay? So this is not something where, I fumbled the ball and screwed up, okay? Trust me, I have plenty of room to do that and plenty of examples to cite when I make mistakes, but this ain't one of them. Okay, so I just want to let you all know that this is sort of a complication that we are working on, trying to get everyone access to the textbook or the e-textbook. And I think this week should be, you guys should be brought up to speed, and the dual enrollment coordinator should be in communication with the right parties, all getting back to you all the credentials you need to access the e-text. Okay, so about that e-text, when you go into our Blackboard shell here, you'll notice something new. You will see right underneath our syllabus the little icon for the online resource for this textbook, Literature and Composition, and that's our section 21834. When you open that, okay, granted that you have the login credentials that you need, you will see basically everything that we are doing through the MindTap resource, okay? And I think that might actually just be my gateway through the resource. I don't know if you all can click on that and access that, but I know what you can click on and access, okay? When you go to Shell 1, remember week 1 last week, you had the discussion forum on the Hemingway, Cisneros, and Eggers pieces, okay? Now for this week, week 2, you will see, I'll show it to you here. You will see, let's go over this way. See Chapter 7 plot, the little icon at the upper left there. If you all can see that. That is, for this week, our chapter on plot. Okay, so if you click that, and I'm hoping you can click that and be able to access it, and it is the material that you need for completing this week's assignments, okay? It's the whole, basically it's the e-version of this physical textbook, okay? And Chapter 7 plot, okay, is what we have in here. So there are two. It's a good idea to read the introductory information, everybody, okay? The book kind of sets up what plot is, okay? We kind of think of plot as just some sequencing of events. Maybe it asks or answers the question, what happens, okay? It is that, but it's a little more complicated than that. I don't know if you all have ever seen a plot line or a plot graph. It typically has a flat horizontal line, then there's a steep incline to a point, then there is a decline, and then there is another horizontal line. That is exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and then the conclusion or resolution. Okay, that's the basic little plot graph there. And you could apply that plot graph to anything that you read, okay? For this week, we have a piece by Neil Gaiman, who is a modern-day writer. He's been writing for a while now, but There are, for example, some television shows that are based on Neil Gaiman's writings. Gaiman is kind of like a science fiction, kind of fantasy writer. And one television show that is, my wife and I actually watched the first season. It was pretty good overall. The television show is American Gods, okay, and that's based on a novel of his. But it is a fantasy sort of science fiction novel and television show. I believe it's on Showtime. On Stars. Okay. So if you're interested in Neil Gaiman, and he's written graphic novels and other sorts of things as well, maybe check out that show. I think season 2 of American Gods has come out recently as well. But the short story is called How to Talk to Girls at Parties. And the way, you might think of that question and want to know the answer to that. Like, heck yeah, please tell me, okay? Well, it's kind of an interesting little story here because it involves aliens, okay? I will just leave it at that. So hopefully you guys enjoy the story, okay? And are able to understand what is commencing in terms of plot. Similarly, the story after that, another, not science fiction or fantasy story, but a Southern Gothic, Southern as in the Southern United States Gothic story by William Faulkner, a classic, A Rose for Emily, okay? Kind of a creepy story, all right? Setting us up for Halloween here. Emily, the titular character, is very much in love with a fling of hers, Mr. Homer Barron, if the name, if I'm not misremembering the name there. She likes the guy a little too much. Okay, let's leave it at that. And I'm interested to know what you guys have to say. But in any case, cutting to the chase here of what you all have to do for this week, applicable to those two short stories, is plot discussion questions. And I've pulled the discussion questions from this text, okay? So whether you are looking at the physical text or looking at the e-text, the link that I provided in the Shell 2 folder there, or the Week 2 folder there, I should say, you'll have access to the questions. Now, the first story, How to Talk to Girls at Parties by Neil Gaiman, the reading and reacting section, I have the odd numbers I would like you to do, okay? And then the A Rose for Emily questions by Faulkner, I have the even numbers for us to do, okay? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in all, okay? Here's where you could find the discussion questions. If you don't have individual access to the physical text or the e-text, I provided the questions in the Week 2 folder. You'll see an attachment there, along with our assignment Dropbox on plot, okay? So all you have to do for this week is read the plot selections, the Neil Gaiman piece and the William Faulkner piece. Deposit your assignment in the Dropbox. Otherwise, the only other thing for this week is we do have our first blog that is enabled, and that blog asks you to reflect on Week 1's readings, Hemingway, Cisneros, and Eggers. Remember, blogs, bonus points, speaking of which, all of your 1101 essays are graded with the blog bonus points added. All of the final lingering assignments have been factored in. So I appreciate everybody sending in their SLOs and their essays. They've all been read and evaluated, and your final grades for 1101 are now evaluated and recorded. Now, I'm not going to take the time to individually look at my email roster and email each and every one of you your grades, okay? But what I will do is, if you want to know your grade, just email me and I'll let you know. So you could see with the announcement for this week, as for the 1101 final grades, now that they're there, I'm happy to share them with you via email upon request. If you ask me for your final grade, I'll give it to you. If you don't, I won't, okay? So there you are there, okay? So that's this week plot, the two stories there. Next week, we're going to have to deal with our first literary analysis essay on Edgar Allan Poe's The Cask of Amontillado. Okay, so it's probably a good idea to read that story this week if you haven't read it already. A classic, okay, classic American story, short story, kind of fitting with Halloween and all of the kind of creepy and, well, all the themes that go with Halloween. We have two characters in the story, one of whom is duped by the other, and this other is quite a cruel SOB, let's say, but he has a reason for doing what he's doing. Go ahead and read that story, and I will give you a detailed assignment for my expectations for that essay due at the end of next week. So everybody, at the risk of just kind of talking in circles here, I think that is all that we need to cover. I hope you guys have the resources that you need, the book or access to the ebook. And Mr. Churchwell and I will be in close contact this week about any lingering concerns in that matter. So, all that said, I hope you guys have a great second week of your second quarter here. And I'll talk to you again next week. Bye-bye.